In this video, we're going to talk about a different kind of reaction, and it's called an acid-base reaction. All right, and acid-base reactions are just reactions that deal with acids and bases. Pretty self-explanatory name. Okay, and so there are three types of acid and base reactions. Okay, the first one is when you have an acid and you're going to add it to something else, and what you're going to get is something else and a base. The second type is when you have a base, you're going to add it to something, and you'll get something back out, and an acid. And then the final, which has a special name, it's called a neutralization reaction, is where you have an acid, you add it to a base, and then you get water and a salt. Okay, it's called a neutralization reaction because both of these things have a neutral pH of 7. So at the end, there's no acid or base, right? In these ones, you're still going to have a base, you're still going to have an acid in there, the pH is going to be not 7. So those are different than the neutralization reaction. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit about what makes something an acid, what makes something a base, what makes something a salt. Okay, an acid generally, okay, for the sake of this class, is going to be something that has H's in the front of it. So for instance, HCl is an acid because it has this H up in front. Same thing would go for something like H2SO4, right? There's H's in the front, it's an acid. Okay, remember acids have low pH, so it's going to have a number that's lower than 7, okay? And that's what acids are, okay? Bases are going to be things generally that have, you know, a metal cation in the front and then an OH in the back. Okay, so something like NaOH or KOH are going to be bases. There's one that's commonly used that doesn't look like this, and that is NH3. That's ammonia. Ammonia is a base. It's actually a really, really awesome base. It does a lot of really cool things. And this one's a little confusing because it has H's in it as well, but you'll know that it's a base because the H's are in the back. Okay, so just remember that ammonia is also a base. And then finally, salts are when the two things that are bonded with either the H or the OH, okay, come together. So for instance, Na and Cl, that's table salt. K2SO4, that's a salt. Okay, so really anything that doesn't have the H or the OH in it is usually a salt when we're dealing with these acid-base reactions. And they're part of the neutralization reaction. Okay? Just before we move on, I wanted to talk about a very special case, which is water. If you notice, an acid has an H in it, and a base has an OH, which is the same thing as water. Okay? Water is really cool because it can act as an acid or as a base. Okay? It has this extra H up in front. It has the OH in the back. It can be an acid or a base. It can work either way. Okay? So let's try some examples of acid-base reactions so we can kind of see what we're dealing with here. So for instance, this one right here, we've got a base, okay, NH3, ammonia is a base, and we've got water, okay, so in this case it's probably going to be acting as some sort of acid, all right, and we're going to have NH3 react with water, and we're going to try to predict what's going to happen, okay? So in this case we have a base, and what's going to happen is bases want H's. That's what bases love. It's like their food. Okay? So ammonia, okay, is going to want to take one of the H's from the water. And so what happens then is that this one's going to have another H. Okay? It's going to have one extra proton, basically. So it's going to become NH4 plus, that's called ammonium. Alright, and that is now, if you think about it, an acid. It has an extra H. So you can even write it like this. Okay? And then the water now is missing that H. So you're going to have raw base, OH, right? When you have a base plus something, you'll get something and an acid, or something in a base. Wow, I really messed that up. Oops. Clearly was not thinking that through. But we do have an acid, right? This is an acid, this is a base, okay? So we just have different acids and bases, all right? Now we can do the same thing down here. Down here we have an acid, H2SO4, and water. Okay, and acids, what they love to do is they love to take their H's and throw them at things. They don't want to have those H's, they want to get rid of them. So what H2SO4 is going to do is it's going to take one of its H's and it's going to throw it over to this water. And so you're going to end up with HSO4, because it's only going to get rid of one, minus, missing that H now. And then you'll have what's called a hydronium ion, H3O+. Okay? So in this instance, once again, you have a new base, HSO4, and you have a new acid, H3O+, right? Which is the same thing as what we're seeing here. Okay? The final thing that we're going to have, this is the bottom one, is a neutralization reaction. We have an acid and a base. They're going to react with each other. Okay? And when they do, they're going to make H2O and a salt. Oh, this one's a bad example. Darn it. Alright, let's try something different. Do NaOH. That one does not work out perfectly. Oops, this is not my best video, obviously. Alright, so we've got our hydrogen sulfuric acid. It's going to attack the NaOH, so it's going to throw the H over there, and you're going to end up with H2O, because the H is going to bond with the OH, the base is going to bond with the acid, and then you're going to be left with sodium sulfate, which is a salt. Okay, so that's a neutralization reaction. We've got some hydrogens latching onto some oxides, so we're going to end up getting Na2SO4 and water, right? Like all neutralization reactions. Okay, so just to kind of wrap up, okay, we've got three different types of acid and bases. Okay, there's when we have an acid dealing with something that's generally neutral. We're going to get another acid, another base. Okay. Here we're going to have a base reacting with something neutral. It's going to become a base and an acid. Okay, my notes were not very great in this video. And then we've got an acid and a base coming together, and they're going to make water and a salt. And we see that here. We have an acid going with a base, and it makes water and a salt. Okay? So these are the three basic acid-base reactions. They can get a little bit more difficult than this, but for the most part, this is what we're dealing with when we talk about acid-base reactions.